This. I am just a man in recovery doing my very best to share a positive message of love and hope to anyone out there struggling. My name's Danny Shannon. I spent 17 years in the pain, hurt and misery of active addiction, heroin, meth, crack, anything you could get your hands on. I am absolutely blessed to have found recovery on the 15th of September 2009. This is the Kick the Shit podcast. Each week, my guests and I will share our stories around the social and emotional impacts that addiction can have on both ourselves and our loved ones. Let's go! Well, welcome to the Kick the Shit podcast, Fiona. How you doing?
Hello. Really good. How are you?
I'm very good. Do you know, guys, anyone tuning in, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello.
As it happens, Fiona and I met this morning. I think we have had a previous message, but you know, and I just want to say thank you for being so brave to jump on and share your story so quickly.
It's awesome.
Because Fiona, and if I can just give a little shout out, something that you said to me this morning, it was absolutely beautiful, and it really made me think. But you said something along the lines of, you know, Danny, people reach out to you because they want to share their stories, and I thought that's such a precious, beautiful thing. Thank you for telling me that.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah,
all right.
yeah,
It's huge for people to be able to go, look what I did, especially with somebody that has been there and has smashed it. And yeah, to celebrate together is huge. It's good.
you actually taught me such a huge thing there, Fiona, when you said that, because I know, and I'm very lucky, and I do, and I respond to every single message. But just that thing that you said to me, Danny, they reach out to you because they trust you, and they know. You said they know that you'll listen, and I thought that was the beautiful thing, you know. Anyway, mate,
Yeah.
thank you for being so brave to come on. You said, guys, we're
Oh.
gonna dive a little bit into Fiona's story from
Mhm.
addiction to recovery. First of all,
Yep.
Fiona, before we kick it off, I want to ask you two questions. On a scale of 0 to 10, 0 equals you are sad, miserable, unhappy. Life is shit. Like life is crap. And 10 equals you chuffed, full of gratitude. In fact, your happiness annoys your friends. What would your number be?
More than that. Definitely a solid 11 and a half.
Oh wow.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Amazing.
11 and a half. That's exceptional. Um, and what color would you choose if you had an opportunity to choose a color right now? What color would you choose?
Oh, it'd
Oh,
be teal blue like these earpods.
oh, is
Yeah.
that still blue? Okay, blue's one
Oh,
of my
yeah.
favorite colors too. Blue
Mm.
is a color of health, and represents a couple of other things too. I often go into a
Mm.
little bit of a color reading. And anyone jumping
Yep.
on and dropping comments, thank you so much for being here,
Cool.
guys. At the end of the show, we will we'll ask a couple of questions if you feel comfortable, Fiona. All right, Fiona,
Mm.
let's kick it off.
Yeah, let's
Have
do
you
it.
done this before? Have you done a podcast interview before like this?
No, not on live on the internet. No. So it's exciting. I'm
But
excited.
you have shared your story up on stage before.
I have, yes, at a community festival. I was asked by the local pastors of our church to get up and share exactly what happened to me, and it was only maybe a couple of minute testimony, but there was people crying in the audience, and they were coming up after me, and like my kids are part of my story, so I had my kids up on stage, and so obviously that touch people's hearts and stuff. So yeah, but
Did
that was
you cry?
scary. It was scary.
Did you cry too?
No, actually, I didn't. I
Yeah.
just felt strong, and I felt like, yeah, this is cool. Yeah.
Where did you grow up, Fiona? Take us back where you grew up. Did you have
Okay.
mum and dad around? What was your childhood like?
Okay. So I grew up in England until I was 12
What
or
in
13.
England?
Yeah, I'm a
Oh,
palm.
God,
Well,
I
they call it a
didn't
posie.
know.
Huh?
Yeah, I didn't know that. Well,
Accent's gone.
yes, right.
Yeah. So I grew up in England. We moved here 2003. and
Yeah.
it was quite traumatic. So being separated from your family and your friends that you had, that was quite a lot. Yes, my parents were around, but not emotionally, or you know, they were physically there, but not emotionally there. Um, a lot of generational trauma, a lot of trauma through my mother's side. I've got a younger sister, older brother, and they were everything that we had. We just all we had was each other. So yeah, they're amazing. So we moved here in 2003 to straight to Perth. We'd never been here before, not even for a holiday.
Never been
So
to
that was
Australia before.
no. It was just like we're
No.
going.
Yeah.
Um, Funny story. My brother was checking his shoes every 2 seconds, thinking there was like going to be big ugly spiders and snakes in his shoes. So he would shake them out before he put them on.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think that's what we need to do.
How old were you in 2003 when you arrived here?
So 13, 14.
Yeah.
I don't
Wow.
know
Yeah.
maths very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was quite young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and when you said it was a big shock to leave family. So what do you who? So, but you came with mum, dad, and brother. So,
Mm,
what
yeah.
family are you talking about? What was the big shock to leave who?
We had a very kind of big family on my dad's side. We had a lot of cousins and aunties and uncles, and we were quite close, especially Christmases and stuff. There was a big party kind of thing. Um, it was more so okay, kids, we are moving to Australia, pack your stuff. Like, oh, there was no, how do you feel about this? There's no, that kind of started the
Right.
ball rolling, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Yeah.
had you picked up drink or drugs at that stage yet? At 13?
No drugs. I probably had sips here and there of alcohol, but no, not by that time,
Okay.
no.
You're in a new country, scared of spiders, snakes.
Yep.
Maybe not you. Um, and I imagine what year school would you been starting? Did you have to go to school here?
Yeah, straight into high school. So, gosh, it's so blurry back then, but year 8, 9.
Yeah, right.
Um, and yeah, obviously didn't know anybody. It was a lot. Different accent. Kids are kind of looking at you like, man, who's this foreign girl, white skin, you know. Yeah, so that was a big shock too.
So why did you move? Do you mind telling what was the sudden move? Why did your mum and dad just pack up and move?
They've never actually told us as such,
Oh,
but the kind of what I've gathered from it is they run away from a lot of things.
yeah, sure.
So
Yes.
yeah, the whole like, oh, when we get here, it'll be better, and when we get here, it'll be better. So I think that's what they had in their head.
And everywhere you go, you take you with you. We can't
Yeah,
run from
I know.
our
That's
problems.
right.
Mm.
Yeah, so that was hard. That was very
That sounds really difficult and challenging.
hard.
All right. So then what happened?
So things started going downhill. My mental state was not great at all. I was every day for 2 years when we first moved here. I was going home. I'm packing my shit and I'm going home. Very, very angry, angry teenager. And I just resented my parents. I didn't want to settle. I made friends, but I was like, this isn't home. And I was angry. I was angry at everyone, the world. I would stomp my feet. Yeah, and obviously anger then gives birth to yeah, just hatred and you end up just being, angry all the time, and it's not fun. And then through that, self-harm started. Um, I kind of started having flashbacks of my past, like prior to moving, but I wasn't really sure what they were at the time. Um, I just didn't know. I didn't know. Didn't have anyone really to talk to as such, really to kind of discuss it. So I just kind of whatever carried on. But yeah, self harm was pretty bad. And then
So,
it kind of went a
so
bit.
Fiona, you said you started to have flashbacks. Do you mind? And you didn't understand what they were. So I've got a feeling I know what you're talking about. But like, what do you mean by? you're having flashbacks and you didn't know what they were. Like, I understand you probably had to
Yeah.
work on a bit more trauma stuff before you did
Yeah.
that. But what did that feel like, these flashbacks? Because I know people out there
Yeah.
were going through the same thing. So
Yeah.
share that.
It was body reactions. So what I found out later on actually was I was completely dissociated from between my mind and my body. So I was starting to feel things within my body and like not knowing what the heck they were. So you can have a body flashback and you can have a mind flashback. So
Right.
these were bodily flashbacks, and so that's where the self-harm started getting worse because obviously I was feeling things in my body and I didn't like it, so I was trying to get it out, so to speak, or hurt it, or you know. I don't know why my mind did the way it did the things that it did at the time, um, but that's trauma for you, really.
Yeah, sure. And do you mind sharing the self harm? Where did that start? Like, what do you mean self harm? When did you start? I mean, what? How did you
Um,
start?
yeah, so it started off binge eating. I would stuff my face until, well, I don't think I ever actually vomited like made myself vomit, but I would
Yeah,
just binge and binge, and I didn't have an off switch, and it just I was trying to comfort something inside, and then I was hiding like the packets and down inside my bed, and just it like that real shame link to it. And then I went to cutting my arms and my legs, and I had all there was you couldn't even see the skin on my arms. It was really really terrible. Um, and it was the only way I could kind of feel something or feel a relief at the time. It does not work one bit, but as a teenager, that's hurting. I don't know why minds go that way. Of let's internalize this and let's hurt ourselves because we're hurting. Um, yeah, I had nothing on the outside to approach. I didn't have my parents really. I couldn't talk to them about that. So I just internalized everything and pushed it within. And then, you know, what follows on from that usually is an addiction. Or it can do.
yeah. How old were you when you started doing? And I love that you mentioned the self harm started with the overeating too, because I think
Yeah.
it's really important to highlight that is a harmful behaviour as well. And you also
Yes,
talked
it
about,
is.
I love that you've got this understanding why you did it. You're trying to
Yeah.
push down, you're trying to suppress some kind of feeling. You're trying to fill a hole. Yeah, you're trying to fill a
Yeah,
void.
yeah. Yeah. You're
How
hurting
old were
so
you?
much.
Yeah,
Pardon?
how old were you when you're cutting yourself like that?
Oh, so it would have been within the year or two after we moved here. So 14, 15.
Understand?
Yeah, between then. Yeah.
And the cuts were that bad, they were over your whole arms. You just said, and so what, may
Mm.
I ask? And I don't like, but mum and dad, like you said, they didn't understand. Like, so what, like, how did they not understand? Like, how did they not know?
They didn't understand themselves, Danny. They didn't understand themselves. So how could they understand their children? That's the way I saw it at that time. At the time, and I hid everything as well. I was always best poker face ever. I'm
Yeah.
fine.
So you were
I can look after
hiding,
myself.
they
Yeah,
weren't
hiding
seeing, were
them.
they seeing them?
I think my mum saw. I think she found a knife in my bedroom, maybe, and she went, "What the heck is this?" Um, but yeah, I hid them pretty well. And when you have parents that are not really emotionally connected or even really connected to the family, they're just they're in la la land, really. So yeah,
I, look, I know this must be a little bit hard. So are you okay? Do you feel okay
I'm
going through
absolutely fine. Yeah,
it?
yeah. I'm healed from this stuff, so I can talk about
Yeah,
it.
good.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I can't imagine how. Like I'm just thinking from my perspective. I know other people would be thinking it too, the same, but I just can't imagine how. Um,
Mm,
like I just think of, and this isn't to judge anyone either. I'm just saying I just can't quite
mm.
imagine how. And I hope I'm never in a position that I wouldn't know that stuff about my daughter.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So, all right. So then you've self harm. That's not
hmm
working. The harming yourself's not working.
Yeah. No. And then I found boys, and wanting to go out and be liked, and listen, dressing in a way that kind of would get myself attention because I just wanted something I wanted to feel something. I
Yeah.
wanted to feel loved somehow. I knew I didn't love myself because I was hurting myself. So I thought, go and find love. Something wasn't working for me at all. Um, and then fast forward to 17, 18, started night clubbing. And then that was, every weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, out, boom, 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 just how the heck I survived that, I don't know to this day. Um, and, so my uncle died of a drug overdose when I was possibly about 8 or 9. And so drugs to me, I was meant death. Like I was terrified. I was like, no, if you take one drug, you're dead. That was probably a good thing for a while.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, I was always that, my uncle died, no, it was horrendous, blah, blah, blah. But then I started night clubbing and, curiosity got the better of me. And then started with ecstasy pills and, you know, just went on, progressed from there,
To what?
really.
Yeah. How did it progress? Talk to me about that.
Okay, so I started night clubbing 17, 18. I was just taking it recreationally, like just pills, and I was never into like weed or nothing really. I just wanted the hard stuff. I wanted to be up because I felt so down. Um, so I was, night clubbing for a couple of years, and then I met my children's father, um, who, it was great at the start. It was fantastic. I felt like I was so loved and I felt safe, and then it went severely downhill. And the control started, the manipulation started. Um, and, I had my kids, everything amazing, but I felt myself so disconnected from everything. And I was like, hang on a minute, what is happening here? Years go by and you think, I'm feeling worse and worse and worse, until my entire being, my entire soul felt like it left my body. And I was a shell of who I was, absolute shell. So much so that I couldn't even tie a shoelace properly.
You've got a really good understanding of yourself, haven't you? You talk like
Now I do. Yeah.
yeah, I understand it's through some of the work you've done, but I love the way you've described so far the feelings,
Yep.
the feelings you had, and the way or
Yeah.
didn't have, and the way you
Yeah.
describe. I can tell that
hmm
you've been very lucky to do some work around that stuff.
Oh yeah, the inner work. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. What
Yeah.
happened?
Let's go.
Where's the dad? Where I feel like there's more story about the
Of
dad.
course.
Where the guy? Where's
Yeah.
he? Where
I mean, I won't go into too much detail about him, but he basically mentally abused me to the point where there was nothing left of me. But I eventually did get out. But I was sick, extremely unwell, a mess. Didn't have any money, nothing like that. It was just awful. And I had nowhere to go. My parents didn't understand. Nobody understood because no one even knew what was going on. I didn't tell anybody. Yeah, I was pretty much spiritually and emotionally dead. And so I left there, was just barely surviving, living with my parents, but they automatically assumed that I was going to go out and get myself a job and be okay. You just left this guy that's just drilled you down into the ground, but you're going to go get yourself a job. I couldn't. I just got worse and worse, was ending up in the fetal position in bed, and they're going, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I'm screaming at the top of my lungs going, I'm so unwell, like I need help. And they just basically said, you need to go. We don't want to deal with you. We can't cope anymore. You need to go. So then ultimately I didn't have anywhere to have my kids because I didn't have a home to have my children. So I had to make the ultimate sacrifice, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done. And I took my children to their father's house, and I left them there, and I didn't see them for 12 months because he completely stopped me having any contact. And I thought I was at the end at this point, but this was bad. It was dark. And so I went, cool, I'm getting on the hard stuff. And I went straight to a friend's house and I just started using as much meth as possible because I was like, I've lost them. They're gone. And I hated myself. And I thought, this is the end. This is truly, truly the end. No, 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 it wasn't. Because then, I was starting to use needles, and I just wanted to, yeah, I just wanted to destroy myself to the point. I don't know what point it was. It was just, yeah, when you have your children taken away like that. Yeah, so fast forward a year, everything went pitch black, and I've never been so frightened in my entire life. It was like life's gone. And I already thought I was already switched off, but no. This is like the point where you get to where you've given up hope. And I scared myself because I would look in the mirror and be like, shoot, like, where have you gone? Um, and then came the depression. And so I slept 24 hours a day for 2 weeks straight. I barricaded myself in my room. I put my chest of drawers in front of the door, trying to run away from something, and I slept and I slept and I slept, and I would wake up and I'd be angry. I'd be like, why am I awake again? Why did I just die in my sleep? And at this point I had no energy to even use drugs because it didn't really even work anyway, because I was gone. And yeah, so that was my rock bottom. And they say there's rock bottom, but there is a basement, guys. There is a basement, and you think you're at the lowest point, but holy, and that basement is not somewhere you want to go. But I went into the basement.
Well, man, it breaks my heart hearing that stuff. All right, so yeah, that's what I was going to say. So you went 2 weeks of that depression, or more, I'm sure, but two
Yeah.
weeks of sleeping
Hmm.
your life, or trying to just hide from life, yeah, and not want to
Yep.
have
Yep.
any. So yeah, so you stopped using drugs in that time, and depression just took its toll, and you just
Yeah.
slept. That's pretty incredible. So, like, I
Mm.
get that you're isolated from the world, but just to
Yep.
stop using the drugs, it was. And what can I just before we move a bit further, like, what was the penny? What was the worst of your drug use? How much were you using? How were you using it? And what were you using?
Mm. I was using probably up to a gram or more a day. I was injecting it.
Of meth, was it?
Yeah, of meth. Sorry, of meth. Yep. Yep.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
that's a
I
lot of.
was,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I was having I don't know if people know on here know what 5 points is, but it's and just in the one hit for
half a gram.
breakfast, for
Yeah.
breakfast. Um, but
How were
it
you
was
having
really
it?
how I was
How
injecting it.
did you take? Yep. All right. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I was injecting
All
it.
right.
I was
Yep.
also having like taking fantasy, which is GHB.
Yeah.
I was taking that, but yeah, yuck. But by that point, I didn't really even want anything, to be honest. But yeah, that was probably my worst. And I'll actually this is gonna be shocking, but this is just how bad it gets, right, guys? I was going to people's houses and I was letting random strangers put needles in my arm. That's how bad I got. And that's when I had people ringing me going, Fiona, what are you doing? You need to pull your head right in. You are doing dangerous things, and we're worried we're going to lose you.
Why?
So
When
that,
you say you're going to people's houses and letting strangers put needles in your arms, why were strangers doing that? Like, what were you unable to do it yourself, or what do you mean by that
yeah.
exactly?
So for a long time, I didn't do it myself because I was too scared to
Yeah.
do it. So I was relying
Yeah.
on people to help me. Um, and a lot of people weren't actually letting me try and do it myself because they were like, you know, she'll butcher herself kind of thing. So I was just, going to people I actually trusted at first. But then if I couldn't get anyone, where am I going to go? So I didn't care at that point.
And
That
I
was
imagine
that was
that puts
worrying.
you, yeah, that would put you in so much other danger too, because who knows, like, what
Absolutely.
it is they're putting
Yeah.
in your arm, like, even though you're kind of a part
Yeah.
of it, of course. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's like it's one thing to be injecting drugs into your own arm, but someone else doing
Oh,
it, it could be anything,
no.
it could be anything.
Yep.
Uh,
And not
and I'm
caring.
still,
That's such
yeah,
a bad, bad cocktail. Bad, bad. It's bad.
yeah, I remember
Anyway,
that.
but
Yeah, definitely.
but there is hope at the other side of this.
So
There is
rock
hope.
bottom.
And look,
The rock bottom was. Would you say? Because you talked about the basement before we jump into the hope. The basement. Where's the
yeah,
basement? Is the basement the 2 weeks sleeping or
the
is
basement
it?
is where you're walking around and the people that you know and that you've trusted prior to this, everything they're saying to you is warped. As in, the depression is lying to you completely that you don't even know what's real and what's not. You can't trust anybody. You know, I remember people saying to me, "Oh, Fee, you look really nice today." I'd be like, "You are lying." It's like when everything is so twisted and you just, yeah, it's just dark, completely dark. And there's no life and you're just in absolute terror all the time. From the
Was your
moment you wake up,
boyfriend? Was the
huh?
dad a user? Was the dad a drug user too? Of the kids?
He was recreationally when we first met, yes, but he didn't use after this, no, after
Yeah,
that.
good. Sorry.
Mm.
Yep, yep.
No, no. But obviously he was very abusive as well, so, you know, what, yeah. Um, yeah, so that basement was horrendous. I would ring my friend up screaming down the phone going, "What is happening to me?" You know? And it's just the combination of drug use and mental illness and nobody and not going to get help. You know, it's no wonder that, you know, people end up taking their lives at the end of it. Um, but I'd had a best friend pass away that way a few years prior, so that kind of stopped me from going that far. Since he died, I was always like, "Ah, I can't do that. I just can't because I know what it's like to lose someone that way." So yeah, you get to the basement and you don't even have the energy to, yeah, want to live. Basically, I could have just died in the bed and been like, sweet.
Yeah, totally. How did you kick the shit, Fiona?
Okay.
How did let's get this is the
Well,
Kick the Shit podcast. Let's talk about
yeah,
your
kick
hope.
this shit, right?
Let's
So,
go.
oh, my earpods. I was actively, which I didn't know at the time what I was doing, but I would get on the floor on my knees and say, right, if you're real, old mate up here, you need to come down and you need to do something because I've had enough. And I begged and I begged and I begged and I reached out, I called out to something that I didn't even know was real.
Wow.
And this was over the course of, you know, a few weeks. Like, and I mean, in the bottom of my shower, sobbing in pain, thinking I need someone to save me. Then it was my 30th birthday, 31st January 2019, and we were up in the city, just, you know, with some friends, whatever else. And I didn't feel the best that day, but I wasn't, you know, too bad. Um, yeah, and we were just chatting around, you know, whatever else. And all of a sudden, I could feel this depression creeping in again because it kind of lifted after I'd been calling out, kind of sort of.
Just
I don't know, but
that makes sense.
yeah.
Just
Does
when
that
it's
make sense?
powerful when we ask for help, when we ask for help.
Yeah, yeah. And obviously, when you use as well, I mean, when I used, it would be that quick buzz. So it was like, oh, cool, I'd be sweet for a few hours or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
And I pushed myself to go to celebrate my birthday. So
yeah.
we were up in the hotel room with one of my good friends, and all of a sudden I felt this depression coming over me again. And I was like, hang on a minute, what is happening? And all of a sudden it got worse, and I felt like I was going to die. And I'm going to my friend going, I'm dying. And she's going, what? I'm going, I'm dying. I am dying. Like, I honestly felt like my brain was slowing down.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling peaceful, but like, what is happening to me right now? There's definitely something happening. And I sat on the bed in the hotel room, and my friend was opposite me. And she said to me, she said, it was like you cracked open for the first time.
Yeah.
And you could see everything. And she said, and I saw you, and I saw hope, and I saw you. You know, I'd completely gone from my eyes. No one could, you know, that this light had gone. And then she saw me, and she was like, oh. And well, I mean, obviously I know now what it is, but at the time I'm going, hey, I thought I was dying a minute ago. And then all of a sudden, I just was super confused. And over the course of a couple of hours, I had to try and learn how to talk again because I'd lost all ability to speak because I felt like my brain had switched off or like had a reset or something. I don't know. And I'm thinking I've lost it. I've literally lost myself to drugs. I've cooked
Yeah.
myself that much that I'm gone.
Yeah.
But it kind of made sense though. It didn't feel like, I don't know, I just knew that I knew that it was something else. Anyway, from that day on, I have never touched a drug again. It was the Holy Spirit came down and touched me and set me free, and I've never wanted a drug again. The end. No, it was like it was all I heard in my head was enough.
That's so amazing.
Enough. Enough. It is finished. And I was like, oh, that's it. Well, I've got chills all over me now. How exciting. And yeah, that was it. It was over.
When was that?
And don't
What
get me,
date was that?
the 2nd of February 2019. And look, I mean, there's probably people on here that are probably like, oh, God, don't believe. But, I just know that I know. I've never touched a drug again, never. And I was hard on it. I was the one that was like, we're going hard and no one sleeps on my clock. I wanted to go hard and I never wanted to stop. And everybody said to me, Fiona, we thought that you would never, ever get off the shit.
That's so
And I
amazing.
did.
That's so congratulations. I wish we could capture whatever it was. Like, imagine if we could capture what it was exactly. I think for you, it was a whole part of your journey. The pain, hurt. The
Yeah.
depression, your basement, rock bottom, and just having
Yeah.
enough. And then, but I think it's also you asking for help and really being
Yes.
surrender, isn't it? Surrender. You
It's
surrendered.
surrender.
Surrendered at the
Complete
same
surrender. Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily mean like surrendering to God or it's just
time.
going, you know what? I am not okay right now.
Yeah.
I am not okay and I need help and I'm like Barley's. I am done, and like I've done that obviously since, but not necessarily with God, but with people, like, I need help, bro. Hello, I need help. And they've all gone, because obviously I still struggled with my mental illness. I've had PTSD and been diagnosed with autism and you name it, all of the letters you can possibly think. And I've had severe trauma to have to deal with and pull out, and I mean yank it out, And so I've had struggles, but it was like that addiction was taken from me immediately within a blink of an eye. And I felt a bit like, oh, bad because I know that people go to rehab and like they really struggle. They sometimes get, have relapses and stuff. Like I was totally expecting myself to have a relapse, like 100% expecting myself to have a relapse. But I just never ever had that desire because I know it sounds so surreal. But I didn't want to hurt anymore.
It's funny, like the way you say, like you feel bad. Like only an addict. It's just an addict.
I know.
You feel bad for saving your life and never. But like
I
it's
know.
I get that, but I really do. That's some kind of compassion and care that you
I
have for other
know.
people. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. But only an
And
addict
don't
would
get.
feel bad
I
about
know.
using drugs
And
again.
I know. And look, I didn't have to fight that addiction as such, but
Yeah,
I had to fight for my life.
yeah,
Like, I wanted to die every day for 12 years. I was in so much pain. It was, yeah, that was a fight. That was the fight. So to then have the addiction taken away, it was like, oh, well, I've still, I felt like I wasn't fighting to get the addiction to go. I didn't go to any groups, any like, NA meetings, nothing like that. I'm thankful I didn't have to go to rehab, but I had to fight my way to that point. So, and look, I only know what I feel like I know. There's probably so much spiritually that went on there.
yeah.
I'm not for a second even saying that I'm God or know what God does, but I just know that I was set free, and I'm so thankful because I shouldn't be here still. I shouldn't be here. I've been given a second chance. How my body and like my skin and everything has like stayed, all right, and I've come back from it. Like I'm just so grateful. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just so...
That's magic, and you deserve it too. And I just love the way you explain the whole, like for you, this is your journey, right? This is what worked for you, and and I think it's really important, and it just shows your open mindedness when you say that, like this is what worked for you. People don't have to believe what they like. People can believe whatever
Yeah.
they want. For you, you
Hmm.
mentioned the Holy Spirit took away your
Yeah.
compulsion. I love that, and
Yep.
like don't ever like I think that's your journey, and embrace it.
Hmm.
And she's scared the hell out of it too,
Yep.
because
I lived with shame all my life of
yeah,
being sexually abused. I mean, the first time I was sexually abused, I was 4. I'll just let that sink in, guys. I was 4, right? So living with that and being completely detached from my mind, I lived with that shame. So now when I talk about God and Holy Spirit, like, I don't have shame about that because I know that I know, that's not something to be ashamed of. And I will boldly speak about it and boldly say that that's what happened. My beautiful children came back to me. Long story short, they came back. Yeah, I've got access to them. I had to fight my way through that as well, but they are the most amazing humans I've ever met in my entire
yeah,
life.
that's
And
right.
they look at me and they're like, "Oh, Mum came back. She's," and they just stare at me and they just, because they lost me, and just to have me back is just everything for them. And my family have me back, and I got everything I could ever want and more back.
When did you get the kids back?
Um, So I got saved, or the Holy Spirit set me free on the 2nd of February. I think it was the 19th of February. I first saw them again after 12 months.
Yeah, like
So
2 weeks later.
yeah,
Like
I'm talking God. Yeah, this is it. I was like, really? Slow down, bro. Like, I mean, what? It was just like, I was just ready to just, pop,
it's
pop, pop, pop.
because you made that happen. Because because the drugs are out of your system. It's a mother's instinct, or
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
human instinct.
I was just done. I
Yeah,
was just done, bro. I mean, I don't know if I've seen a video of you saying that, like, you were just done.
sure,
You just get
probably.
to the point, where you're just like, I'm so done with this.
So
And
cool.
you've got to want to heal. You've got to want to get better. You've got to want to push through, and you've got to want to face it and face yourself. That's hard.
Absolutely love this.
Look at that smile. Because you
Yeah,
get it, right? You feel
yeah.
this. You get it. You're
Oh,
like,
I really do. Like, not actually. I think about myself, and It's like I'm way too sensitive for this work because I really do feel like
oh,
I do. But it's a beautiful thing. But at the same time, like I think to myself, why do you like? Because I do get quite yeah. What do you feel like? I really feel it.
you feel it.
Empathetic.
Yeah.
Empathetic.
Empathetic. Yeah.
Um,
Well, you've been there. You've been
and
there
it's
as well.
because I've got a 5-year-old daughter and a 21-year-old son, and I've
Yes.
also spoken to thousands of people who are suffering. And like
Oh, yeah.
family and children. And you mentioned sexual abuse. I can't possibly imagine the trauma that
Yeah.
you've been through. But
Yeah. It's
I
horrible.
want other children out there. I want there to be better education for people to be
Oh,
able.
yeah.
I
Yes.
want to
Yep.
crucify the people that are doing this shit.
Yep.
Like, but you know
Yep.
what? It's a
Talk to your
horrible.
children. Talk to your children. Be open about this stuff. You don't have to sugarcoat. You don't have to be, just be real. Be real with them.
Um,
That's,
Fiona, is there any words of like what would you say? Like if you've been through hell and back, and now it's been
oh, now I'm going to
2 years,
cry.
what would you share with like what would your words of wisdom be before we jump over and take? There's
Okay.
been a bunch
I
of
got it.
comments. I want to highlight some comments and give you an opportunity to respond to them.
Okay.
What words of wisdom would you share with the viewers out there?
Well, I've actually got something just, I don't know if I need to show you.
Okay,
Anyway.
take your time. Do whatever you need to
Huh?
do. Take
Okay,
your time.
I gotta show you something. One sec. Okay.
Guys, we'll
This
take
is
some
me in a nut.
at the end. Oh, okay, we're back already. That was quick.
This is me in a nutshell, right? Just hectic. Like, if I've got to
Yes.
do something, I've got to do something. So the love of my life and my best friend in the entire world passed away in 2017, and I had this. I love him so much. I had this photo. Let me just show you. I had
Um,
this painted of him,
yeah, well, yeah.
and he succumbed to addiction and psychosis, and he ultimately took his life. But the last thing he ever said to me, I've got it tattooed on my arm. I don't know if you can actually read it, but it just says, keep pushing on. Doesn't matter what you're going through, doesn't matter what you're facing, just keep pushing on. Just keep going. Sometimes people
Yeah.
might say, oh, well, how do you do that? I don't know. You just want to, you just need to choose
Yeah.
to live. Just choose life.
Wow.
Just
What a
choose life.
profound moment. What's his name, if you don't mind me? What's his
His
name?
name is Cale Thomas Brown Wright, and he's my hero. He kept me going because, he took his life, and I thought, there's no way I'm doing that. And he saved, like, part of him saved me. And yeah, I want to keep his memory alive, and he's just he was the most amazing man. Think of me, but a male version. And yeah, the pain of losing him, and obviously I struggled with the same thing he struggled with. It was, I knew how he felt, but I had to keep going because he couldn't. I had to live. I thought, you little fucker, I've got to live now. I've got to fight this. And yeah. Oh, he'll be loving that I've put him on this video
Yeah,
now.
so he should. So
Yeah.
you should, and so he should. Thank you
So
so much.
keep pushing on. Keep pushing on.
Keep pushing on. That's the words of wisdom. I love it. It's such powerful meaning behind
Mm.
it. All right, guys. If anyone would like to, I'll just highlight some questions. Are you comfortable answering a couple of questions?
Yeah. I want to talk to the people.
There's
Is there a
there's
chat I can look
couple-
at?
yeah, I don't know if you, guys, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. All right. So
Thanks for listening.
what I can do is I can highlight a few of the comments just like that. So hey,
Oh, yeah.
Mark, Olivia, hey.
Hi.
Olivia, thank you so much. Congratulations to you, Melissa, on going on 2
Woo.
years and 2nd of May. Up you go. Yeah, Paul, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, if anyone's got any questions now, drop them now because while we wait for a couple of comments to come through or questions, I'll highlight.
Please say hi. Please say hi.
Yeah, we've had about 20 people watching throughout the live.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Hi, Danny from Gladstone, from all over, from Gladstone. Where's it? Where's that? That's in the
I
UK.
don't know.
Sounds
Are
like
they very
sounds
Are they
like
glad?
Melissa from America, from the USA,
Woo!
Long Island. Oh, that was Melissa that
That's
said
cool.
that
Is
she.
anyone from Perth in here?
Anyone here from Perth?
Anyone my friends? Where are ya? Lost you, Danny.
Oh, yeah. So sorry, that was my fault. That was
Oh, I lost ya!
yeah, it's okay. That was my bad. I think my mouse is very sensitive. We've got people. Right, hang on. Where were we? Complete. Olivia says she completely
Oh.
with you, Fiona. I have been clean from
Yeah.
heroin. I have been clean from heroin for 23 years, but I had to use methadone for that time to stay clean and have a normal life. Thank you for sharing, Nadine.
Well done. That's amazing.
I really hear your accent coming through now. That
Me?
we really
Oh.
hear your probably accent now. Which
Because
is
I'm all excited.
cool. You love them enough to make.
Oh.
Oh yeah, that was beautiful,
Hmm.
Kathleen. That is what you did. I like that. Not wanting to die, not wanting to live either.
Right? Oh, yeah, that's massive.
The comment came through as you that 2 weeks when you said you were hidden in that room. You know?
That's the somewhere in between stage. That's yeah.
Here's a question from Olivia. Thank you, Olivia. Have you done work on yourself as in therapy courses or counselling, Fiona?
Yes, I have. Not for some time because I just wanted to concentrate on family and working and just physical health and the church and everything. And then November last year, a lot of my trauma that was coming from my body was starting to come out. So trauma is actually trapped in the body. which I didn't actually know. And so my body started making all these weird movements, and like I started to feel really tense and everything. And it was really quite frightening for a while. So I thought, okay, who am I going to contact here? And I contacted a local sexual assault resource centre. I felt led to talk to them. Anyway, got myself the most amazing therapist, and I'm talking. I've never ever been felt so understood in my entire life. Walked in the room and he read me like a book, and I was like, shit, I'm wanting to run away. But he, within 5 sessions, we'd completely processed all my trauma out of my body, and I'm now officially signed off as no PTSD symptoms, completely come back from dissociation. I know. So yeah, we did that, and I don't have to go to therapy now. Obviously, everyone's, therapy sessions could be, their journey in therapy could be different, but I was just so thankful that we just pumped through it, and I just wanted to get rid of it. I was just, I was just raring to go. I'm all in, you
Thank,
see.
yeah, thank you for that
So
question,
thank you, Olivia.
Olivia.
Yeah,
My children are my saviors. Um,
yeah.
Kathleen says she loves your bubble. I love your bubbly happiness. Now, me too,
Yeah, because I'm
Kathleen.
free. I'm alive.
We got
Yeah.
people here from Queensland. We got them from the UK, from
Cool.
Albany, New South. Oh, in Perth. Oh, he's
Four
right from Perth.
hours. Four
Do you
hours
know
away.
that?
Yeah, that's hectic. Yeah, I know
Uh,
Albany. Yeah,
um,
it's
yeah,
beautiful down
thank
there.
you. That's amazing. That was for your.
Oh,
That
Olivia,
was for your.
reach out, message me. We'll chat, Olivia.
Oh yeah, thank you for sharing that,
Yeah.
Kimmy. Absolutely fantastic. On you, Kimmy. Um,
Woo.
Mark, which is because you became a survivor and released the victim.
Yeah.
Yes,
Hmm.
beautiful. Sober
Yeah.
squad. From
Woo!
Perth. Hey,
Oh yes, Maddie. Let's go, girl. Sober
yeah, the
squad.
bad.
Love it.
Um, all right, guys. Thank you so much, everyone, for your encouragement and
Oh.
support. Thank you so much for coming along tonight and sharing your story, Fiona. Stay with me for a second. I'm going to end the broadcast.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Thank you. Mwah.